democracy is the stated goal of intervention. We do enjoy a relatively high success rate in the context of the resolution.
Well, wasn't the most recent intervention originally in Libya to try and establish and help in the struggle for democracy?
Yes, and aren't we,
and that was, our evidence was specifically from during that time period when all of those countries in the Middle East stated that they were experiencing a dislike of the United States for that exact policy.
Do you think the people of Libya would rather be ruled by Muammar Gaddafi?
We have to look at the evidence, and if the majority of people are starting to find the U.S. as a less likely partner for an ally, less likely partner to help, then I
Because according to Al Jazeera, as of this morning, rebel forces are only 50 kilometers outside of Tripoli, so we are being relatively successful against the Gaddafi government.
It doesn't really matter whether we're being successful. If our soft power is being harmed, then trying to promote this democracy is only harming the United States' security. If we lose our allies in the Middle East and destabilize the Middle East, that will only hurt the United States, and that's obviously not good security.
Our evidence indicates that democracies, we share our values with democracies, and they are more likely to cooperate with us.
It's a good, in theory, that is what we would like to think. But
isn't your only evidence against that Palestine?
What?
Isn't your only evidence against that Palestine?
Well, we're using that as an example of where the democracies fail, but we can also look to all the corrupt democracies.
Would you classify Iraq and Afghanistan as stable, legitimate democracies?
No, they're very corrupt.
Yeah, exactly. Our evidence, though that's not a good example, and it's not topical, because our stated goal for intervention was not, in Iraq, our stated goal was to intervene Saddam Hussein to prevent him from attaining weapons of mass destruction, and our goal for intervention in Afghanistan was to weed out Al-Qaeda and the Taliban in retaliation to the September 11th attacks.
In order to establish democracy, then?
Our democracy wasn't our primary goal. I just stated our primary goals,
But if we go in there specifically to establish democracy...
We didn't go in there specifically to establish democracy.
But then we did promote democracy, did we not?
Well, we established democratic government, and we promoted elections, and they have been relatively successful because women in Afghanistan now enjoy more rights than they ever have before, and we are stepping up our counterinsurgency efforts in Iraq to weed out further Taliban and Al-Qaeda members. So we are currently being more successful versus when Saddam Hussein and the Taliban were in power in those countries.
But then you look to other countries such as Nicaragua, which is another democracy.
Didn't we intervene against democracy in Nicaragua under the Reagan administration?
We went in there and established and promoted democracy.
And didn't we sell arms to terrorists under the Reagan administration, the Contra rebels?
Right, but then we went in there to establish the democracy, and that's when a corrupt democracy was then established.
Okay. Just 1 second.
I'll take a minute.